Say what you will about the early 2000s, but it had its gems. It's when I started getting into animal facts and biology books. It also brought us the fantasy novel series of Warriors.
It's an expansive world where feral cats form clans and follow religions in the wild, with betrayal, love triangles, and one of the most dedicated fandoms on the internet. But could talking cats really create their own civilization in the wild? What would an empire of cats really look like? The first thing I think of is the trope of house cats fighting cartoon heroes for world domination. But lions are one of the only cats that hunt together and form complex social structures. Are lion prides the closest example cats can get to human society? Could the reality of an advanced sapient feline look just like the clans and warriors? Or would it be more alien?
If you love cats or you wonder about how animals can become intelligent, this is the video for you. There's going to be a lot of fun cat videos, but we're also going to go into a couple things. So grab a snack and get prepared, because this video is going to have 3 sections. 1, how we could possibly get cats that are sapient. 2, what would they look like, or what might they look like? And 3, what are some of the stranger aspects of cats that would shape their future psychology? If you want to skip ahead, go ahead and do that now.
Let me start with the fact that humans are the only animals that have evolved what some have started calling obligate sapience, or a need for extra brain power. It's literally draining. It's not necessary to survive in the wild. Culture, art, music don't help continue your family tree. The animal that needs to evolve sapience the least might be cats. They already have all the tools they need to survive. They use expert hunting skills to aim their sharp claws, biting teeth, keen eyes, and perfect pouncing muscles at anything that moves. Only apocalyptic conditions could possibly push them to make such a hard pivot into evolving massive brain power. But we'll get to the apocalypse later, I promise. For now, I'll tell you how smart they already are. My cat Millie knows the perfect pitch of screaming that'll get me to give her a snack. Humans domesticated dogs, but cats snuck their way into our homes on their own. Twice, actually. Domestic cats understand human cues, can open doors, solve puzzles, and there's plenty of stories of cats either sensing death coming or saving their owners' lives. However, felines as a whole are mostly solitary hunters. Other than lion prides, do any cats work well in large groups? There are a few examples of other social cats. In 2020, we found the oldest cat-like socialites were the scimitar-toothed cat, who had coordinated social groups that most likely helped take down mammoths by hunting them to exhaustion. Today, cheetahs will form coalitions to hunt in packs and meet at riverbeds during arid conditions. Busa sometimes form coalitions to work together to catch prey, inheriting this ancestral trait from a previous species. And jaguars of the Amazon are one of the most communal, sharing territories because of their large populations in high-density areas. Plus, lions don't just have dominant males and hunting females. Their social stratification even has types of hunters, like wings, who circle prey and drive them to the center of the lioness hunting troop. These examples of coordinated cat cliques could be similar to what we first notice as one species specializes in social groups. But to become obligate sapients, cats will need way more than just good manners. We will have to find the feline with the most potential to replace us, and imagine a scenario that would lead to a rise in their intelligence. But just because domestic cats are clever doesn't make them the most likely to evolve sapients. Since we've domesticated house cats, their brains have been shrinking and will not likely become the next sapient species. Sorry, Millie. In fact, some futurologists think that cats will become more genetically defunct as we continue to breed cute cats with congenital defects that to us make them look adorable. Still, cat experts on A World Without Us, Life After People, and The Natural History of the Future all predict domestic cats can easily survive a future extinction event. Again, I'll get to that later. What we need is a species capable of manipulating tools, having a varied and diverse diet to drive survival and adaptability, and a brain evolved for sociality and community. This makes me believe the cat most likely to reach sapience may be descendants of the semi-aquatic fishing cat. The fishing cat is a medium-sized wild cat of India and Southeast Asia. They have short legs, deep chests, and stubby tails specialized for hunting fish. They have partially webbed feet and are excellent at swimming and fishing by patiently waiting for prey to approach and diving in. The fishing cat, of course, eats fish, but they adapt to seasonal variation by eating mollusks, birds, small mammals, carrion, and crabs. Hunting in mangroves that naturally protect against coastal erosion, this may sustain their dwindling habitats in a future of climate change while others fail. Changing their hunting techniques often, they think ahead, imagining future events, leaping only for the right opportunities instead of jumping at every fish. They also switch up their hunting area as the swampland's topography changes constantly. But can a semi-aquatic cat evolve the tools needed for obligate sapiens, like hands for tools? Maybe yes, if they keep dining on seafood. Animals that eat tough-to-crack shellfish have been pressured before into skipping evolution and just hitting it with a big rock. Macaque monkeys and Japanese snow monkeys use rocks to shuck oysters and shellfish, while white-winged choughs use mussels to open other mussels. Tool-using primates like North Senegal savanna monkey love the taste so much that their main diet consists of mussels, limpets, and crabs. But the real Einsteins are otters. Barnacles, mollusks, and clams are protein-rich and hard to open, but cats may learn to use rocks to break them open like otters. Otters even have favorite tools and rocks they like to keep. In this water world, fishing cats may use the same tricks to reach tasty treats. And you know what they say, give a cat a fish and it'll eat for a day. Teach a cat to fish after evolving millennia to construct complex tools and they'll outlive humanity. But what about social skills? Fishing cats are solitary and only meet up to mate. However, they can have overlapping territories, which could allow larger groups to exist near each other like Amazon jaguars. Fishing cats also have litters of up to 2 to 3 kittens, which are extremely dependent on their mothers, which is a prerequisite for sociality. But there are other loose ends that need to be fixed before these otter-like cats can reach true sapience. Thanks to humanity, the world will continue to heat up and sea levels will continue to rise for thousands of years. More water may mean more prey for a future semi-aquatic cat. If fishing cats continue to avoid large predators in the Indian marshlands, they'll have to be more inventive and robust with their food choices. Abrupt changes to ecosystems can cause many species to go extinct all at once, and some fishing cats may have to adapt by finding a different food source. All cats have a high vitamin A requirement, which could push them to depend on fish and oysters. Just like early humans, they could eat salmon, crabs, lobsters, eggs, and eels. Humans who ate fish had larger brains, smaller teeth, and were taller and heavier than their ancestors, and just like them, the fishing diet will help cats grow in brain and body size. But here's the catch, pun intended. Today's fishing cats are sadly endangered, but through convergent evolution, the idea of a semi-aquatic cat evolving again isn't crazy. In South Asia, both the fishing cat and the flat-headed cat evolved to be small with shorter limbs and tails, and adapted for hunting in water with webbed paws. Tigers and jaguars both have webbing on their toes too, chasing prey into water and even diving. Some lions have already started adapting to climate change by hunting seals and seagulls on the skeleton coast of Africa. And in the Nat Geo documentary Future of Big Cats, Dr. Julie Meechan of Des Moines University predicts that in a world with rising sea levels, a future descendant of tigers may evolve a curly, oily coat like a water retriever, bigger lungs for holding their breath, and shorter, powerful limbs for deeper diving. But does more melting glaciers guarantee the rise of intelligent cats? Or would an ice age be the last puzzle piece needed to build their own planet of the cats? After millions of years, an ice age would mean a great change for the climate of the world, and the semi-aquatic cats might use their brains to survive. Dispersal can get harder and force them to become more congregated, interacting with each other more. India and Pakistan is the same area that Pakicetids adapted to swimming to avoid arid environments with unreliable water because of the dry conditions on land during an ice age. The same happened to ancestral beavers, with the only surviving beavers building dams and living in social family units in lodges, while their larger cousins died out. However, we won't find intelligent cats living in snowy tundra. That's just where we'll get rid of their competition. If we want our small fishing cats of the future to become social butterflies, they'll need the big cats to hit the road. A study found that group territoriality can only develop in the largest felines, as they prevent smaller species from enjoying the advantages of group living. Competition for resources may force semi-aquatic polar cats to the north, leaving an opening for a new pack hunter to fill the void. Feline paleontologists Sarah Pruss and Julie Meechan suggest that large tigers and cougars would be well suited, surviving millions of years in a glacial Earth. Pushed into the realms of the north, these giant snow lions would be kings of the Ice Age and perhaps even see the return of saber-toothed cats. And as these snow lions migrate north for better food, it's the coasts they leave behind in Southeast Asia that would now have a new niche of top predator to fill. Only arid conditions and larger prey could push pack hunting on fishing cats. That means people skills will most likely occur during a prolonged ice age, when animals get larger to survive cold and abundant food leaves the jungles. Leopards in thicker vegetation have learned to switch from stalking to jump-scaring prey due to poor visibility. As a fishing cat cats become bigger, their hunting tactics will change to flushing out their prey through trickery. Without larger carnivores having all the fun, fishing cats have an opportunity to eat bigger prey. This has happened before with Kerguelen Island feral cats, who have larger skulls, bigger jaws, and thicker bones, specialized to hunt rabbits, mice, and albatross. The Australian feral megacats and giant New Zealand feral cats also doubled in size when taking over an environment. The Madagascar forest cats, the Cretan wildcat, and the Corsican cat fox all evolved rapidly to better hunt and survive when introduced to a new environment without top predators. In order to take down these larger prey, fishing cats may have to work together by hunting in packs. So it only took an apocalypse, rising sea levels, and a subsequent ice age to get social tool-using cats. Oh right, I forgot the apocalypse. We still need to get rid of two glaring competitors of sapient cats, dogs and humans. In my video about how elephants could evolve into a sapient species, I mentioned that an elephant hideout in East Africa is the same place where a devastating pandemic could begin. This was more poetic than probable. Cats, however, may actually spread a certain virus within them already that, while hard to believe, can actually control the mind of its host.
Damn, after editing this down a little, I'm realizing I'm spending a lot of time on why it's so hard for cats to become sapient. I guess they're just so perfect at what they do that something terrible would have to happen for them to evolve that way. Cue the apocalypse. Cats are the only hosts for Toxoplasma gondii, a zoonotic parasite that can infect warm-blooded animals. Felids drive T. gondii infections by shedding the parasite in their feces. What makes this poopy pal so terrifying is its ability to turn the infected into hypnotized zombies. Mice infected with toxoplasmosis approach the predators they fear most without worry in a kind of trance, which in this case is cats. This includes all rodents like rabbits and guinea pigs. Infected chimps and hyenas too have been found to be attracted to the smell of leopards and lions, leading to them becoming dinner. If it can control chimps' minds, what about humans? People with toxoplasmosis often don't show symptoms at all. If they do, it mostly seems like a common cold. But in the last 20 years, scientists have been trying to figure out if toxoplasmosis can or can't change human behavior. It's a classic explanation for the crazy cat lady syndrome. More serious symptoms could potentially be schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, OCD, or rage disorder. It may also slow reaction time and decrease concentration, with one study showing a rise in car crashes, and an inability to handle complex machinery. But the science is inconclusive if we'll be seeing 28 days later become a reality. Sounds comforting, right? Well, funny story, a recent study in 2023 found human population density and global temperature variation actually mirrors a rise in toxoplasmosis and mutations of these parasites in cats. In the year 2100, global population is predicted to reach 10 billion people, with climate change causing rising sea levels, hypercanes, and severe temperature variability. Sounds like the perfect storm for toxoplasma. If we look at the mutation rate of T. gondii and the predictions for future human populations, we might see a new, more aggressive strain cause a spike in chaos and failure of complex human systems in the worst case scenario. This is because it's one of the most widespread parasites, with 1 in 3 humans in the world being infected with it today. There's not even a cure for it once it reaches an advanced stage of infection. It's a bit extreme, but let's play out the idea that a pandemic turns humans into raging cavemen again. A sudden outbreak of violence erupts slowly throughout the world in the year 2100, with transportation and trade networks collapsing. A cascade of system failures and violence leads to a dramatic cataclysm for humanity. Where does that leave cats? Even after we take out humans, cats are still in the doghouse, literally. The last thing stopping cat society is pack-hunting dogs who can still outcompete them. Yes, the oldest enemy of cats is the final hurdle keeping them from reaching efficient levels of sociality. And in India, it's an even harder problem, since the social lives of native dholes are leagues ahead of fishing cats. Dholes work together to stalk and take down prey larger than them, and have a complex whistle language to talk to each other. But they aren't immune to toxoplasmosis either. In fact, just like humans, it may destabilize their ability to form cohesive groups. As the violent toxoplasmosis virus infects wolf populations over time, it causes them to have increased testosterone and cortisol levels. These small, scrappy pack hunters could evolve into giant, independent, roided-up predators, taking risks and constantly killing without a second thought. As sapient cats learn to avoid these demons, these whistlers could become the boogeyman of their nightmares. But it's the final obstacle for cats to carve a niche for themselves. During a future ice age, less dependable sources of water will push the cats to replace their intermediary diet with a dependence on attracting animals with their toxoplasma hypnosis. This will be a lot like how they use their claws to infect people with what's called cat scratch fever. Much more efficient to claw prey and wait for them to hypnotically come back to you instead of hunting, especially when pregnant cats must spend their time tending to altricial young. Being able to psychically call upon animals to their den will give more time to teaching and rearing children. This dependence on toxoplasmosis will change their bodies too. Cats infected with the virus develop yellowing of the skin and eyes, or jaundice. We might think it looks gross, but future lady cats might like it. And I don't yuck people's yums. This yellowing may become a sign of hunting prowess or fitness in a mate. Through selective adaptation, lemony eyes and skin will become indicators of an ability to reach food no others can. As they move closer to the equator, due to Gloger's rule, their oily fur will become darker. High competition for prey in dimly lit rainforests has led to melanism in leopards. This black coat helps them hide and ambush in the jungle shadows as well, making our future cats a black and yellow breed. To attract even more prey, they may pretend to be other animals using vocal mimicry calls. Today, wild cats mimic baby monkey calls to entice other monkeys into an early grave, while domestic cats have adapted their meows to sound like hungry human babies. Some birds in thick forests use vocal mimicry too, to scare away predators. Our future cats might mimic whistle demons to scare away their predators. They may also try to scare away rival mates. Growing the brain capacity to mimic as many sounds as they can will bring more success in mating and keeping dominance of a territory. 20 million years from now, a semi-aquatic cat could gain the adaptations it needs for base levels of sentience, Felis sapiens. Technically, they won't be cats anymore. It's more like the descendants of cats. The great-grandson of cats, if you will. It could have the same level of intelligence as Homo habilis, our first stone-making ancestor. This cat will become the first of its kind to be dependent on their brain power and tool use. So what, cats with big heads? Well, it's not that simple. Early primates had to evolve into apes and then hominids in order to get to humans, and cats will have to do the same. Felis sapiens will have small, slender bodies with oily black coats and yellow skin and eyes. They'll hunt with long, broad paws and webbed toes, with the best hunters being those who can manipulate or control the most animals. Distal elongation helps small felines catch slippery, elusive prey, while robust metacarpals could help grapple with and hold onto larger prey that they catch, without sacrificing speed needed to catch smaller prey. And just like raccoons and humans, Felis sapiens will enhance their tactile sense on their hands by evolving bare-skinned palms that wrinkle when wet. You can't talk about cat bodies without talking about feet. Trigger warning, there's going to be some feet pics coming up. Cats are digitigrade, walking on their toes, but in convergent evolution, other animals that have evolved similar bodies and lifestyles to cats decided to stop tiptoeing. Nimravids were all plantigrade, or walked on their flat palms. South American marsupial ancestors like Thalakosmilids had short limbs just like our Felis sapiens, with their front limbs being semi-digitigrade and their back being completely plantigrade. Its skeleton shows it often stood on its back limbs like a bear, while the Thylacoleo carnifex had opposable thumbs with retractable claws and maneuverable forearms. Could our semi-aquatic fishing cat descendants turn into a half-flat-foot biped too? Would these human-like thumbs help hold on to tools better? It's a definite probably, since six-toed cats today use polydactyly toes as thumbs to grab and hold toys or food. You might have already noticed something stands out about the Felis sapiens. Well, because they have multiple males in one location, social cats often have strange sexual displays like lion's mates to get girls' attention. If fishing cats evolve a similar social structure, they'll need to stand out, really stand out. Most males in feline species have multiple partners. In other animals in nature, this polygamy can be gateway drugs into keeping harems. Animals like lions, gorillas, and elephant seals monopolize groups of females in harems with males fighting for dominance. These systems create extreme sexual dimorphism in males, accentuating their sexual displays, specifically meant to intimidate other males and entice their mates.
And keeping these harems might make their brains bigger too. A recent study found that a very specific diet and social style in monkeys can affect their brain size, the largest brain coming from polygynous harems. And that's exactly what we'll find in our Felis sapiens. You might be asking me, but why the horns? When juvenile Smilodons would grow their saber teeth, the teeth grew in pairs to stabilize and protect their necessary fangs. This double fang growth happens in kittens today too. Future fishing cats may also stabilize and protect their impressive canines with secondary juvenile teeth, which may be more pronounced and remain until adulthood through neoteny. These impressive protrusions will act like weapons during combat for dominance between males as they butt heads and rake each other's sides. This is similar to Thylacosmilus atrox, whose canine roots extended behind their eyes. This display could perfectly blend neoteny and aggressive intrasexual conflict. Like other cats, fishing cats of India and Myanmar use glands on their foreheads and faces to headbutt each other to bond socially. They also scent mark their environment by choosing conspicuous objects to stink up. Since the largest part of the cat's brain is dedicated to smell, it's their main sense of communication and will be a source of specialization as they become more dependent on kitty skills. To improve their means of pheromone communication, their Jacobson organ has protruded and their brows have hypertrophied into what look like horns, but are actually more similar to giraffes' ossicones. To scare off males in dominance battles, cats' pico-erecting hairs on their spine and tail could become longer and more colored to stand out. Due to the cultural brain hypothesis and social brain hypothesis, these hypersocial water cats will be stuck down an evolutionary rabbit hole of big brains and communication cues. This means larger ossicones, obvious nostril horns, and tall manes. Their yellow webbed paws will become more flexible to manipulate tools for food. They might use specific rocks to break open oysters and mussels and keep their favorite tools, just like the sea otters we talked about earlier. They may crush urchins using rocks like anvils, similar to tool using wrasse. They might even learn to fish using bait to catch specific critters like the green herons. Eventually, one of these Felis sapiens is going to become smarter and more adapted for tool use than the other Felis sapiens. Let's call this one Xanthofelis megacephalus, or the gold cat for short. Their yellow-webbed paws will become more flexible to manipulate tools for food. Tool use in gold cats began when they specialized their toxoplasmosis claws. By using tools to open shellfish instead of their claws, they protect their weapons of mind control for bigger targets. During winter, gold cats could preserve caches of shellfish by building and sinking rafts on purpose, like beavers. Let's call it a backup snack up. Gold cats could also save some of their TV dinners by freezing meat in their snow near their dens. Like other social species, their altricial young depend on them for a long time in their youth because they die easily. Smarter gold cats during the Ice Age will keep their young warm by collecting river rocks and boulders that will conserve heat radiating deep to their burrows. Their large caches of logs, branches, and sticks could create insulation and dams, keeping aquatic prey within their reach by accident. This is all very cool, but what about culture? Well, carnivores like sea otters, polar bears, and cheetahs have actually shown evidence of culture with individual dietary specialization. These are lifelong characteristics that appear to be transmitted along matrilines as mothers raise children. Having favorite tools and teaching kids how to fish naturally creates distinct cultures, like how cats today have regional accents. But could cat cultures ever create and understand abstract ideas like art? According to a study on lynxes, the cats actually prefer to mark their scent on interesting optical patterns that contrast to the environment. This helps males catch the attention of their mates easier. To increase their communication efficiencies, these wild cats chose rare and sought-after items to scent mark, located on straight roads to create tunnel vision effects. The art pieces were often large and flat rocks, sheltered from the elements. These altars or landmarks are built to attract audiences, so optical illusions might be an inevitable step for Felis sapien expression. Simple brain teasers like Ponzo illusions or Kaneza triangles could be clawed onto boulders within the largest harems. Since they are trying to be the most eye-catching, a wave of maximalism in cave art could be the first indicator of their advancing civilization as the Ice Age comes to a close. As we enter this quickly warmer world of harems and horny horned alphas, we can use navy hierarchies to differentiate roles in these wet, watery coalitions. Admirals are the dominant males. Then there's the captain, the dominant female and partner of the admiral. The lieutenants, beta females below the captain, and marines, the hunting females. And the cute gold cat kittens could be called ensigns. There can be multiple admirals to a group, but there will always be more females. Some groups can even be matriarchies. So there are now two societies at work in cat world. The harems, where a dominant admiral controls a group of female marines and the cats left outside the pack. The outsiders are coalitions of males that form gangs to better hunt and drive out dominant males, which we'll call corsairs or pirates. Roving corsairs means nesting sites will need to be well protected and have access to rivers or the sea and be well hidden in the jungle. Their wisdom will make gold cats more organized and tool dependent than other Felis sapiens, but also very hierarchical. It seems logical that admirals, lieutenants, and the ensigns of the leading class will live above where it's safest with a good overview of the surroundings. Marines and other harem members, on the other hand, live and work at floor level, up against the high ground. Perhaps they could retreat to safety at the top if things got dangerous on the ground, kind of like a medieval castle. Dominant males will evolve sentinel behavior and mate guarding to protect swimming females while they forage and hunt. Hunting will seem like a feminine work, with ideals of strength and endurance coming with it. Taking care of the young and defending the fleet, on the other hand, will be masculine to them, making caring, teaching skills, and helping the community valued traits of males. The characters of Lion King would never go on to build rocket ships. It's either you're the king or you're Scar, and that doesn't help create communities and far-reaching technology. But one way that might supersede intraspecific competition is something called kleptogamy. When dominant males protect harems, gangs of opportunistic males can pretend to be females to sneak past and mate with chosen females. This is dangerous because dominant males will kill or chase out these gangs. One adaptation to this found in gobies, cuttlefish, and other animals is to often comply to both females and males as a sort of in-between caste. As gold cats develop their social maneuvering and lying techniques, a strangely political and controlling caste of their coalitions may not be the dominant male that's the largest and controls the most animals, but the seemingly bisexual pseudo-females. The skills of lying, cheating, courting, hiding, manipulating, and master communicating will lead to higher intelligence in these metrosexuals. We'll call this strange caste commanders. Commanders may even be necessary for admirals. Admirals compete for dominance by fighting and headbutting, with the largest males having the most pronounced ossicones often succeeding. However, as a social species, horns will make their social communication difficult as their faces will be more rigid and convey a smaller range of emotions and ideas. Therefore, the commanders with almost no horns will act as social translators for the admirals, taking over the task of keeping social hierarchies in check and advising the king on daily tasks. So while Lion King would never happen in real life, it's just a scientific fact that Scar would always be a diva. But what about cities and inventions? Would a feline Da Vinci be inspired after chasing birds to build flying machines? Would they have forts that look like cat towers? Or instead of phallic skyscrapers in human society, would they have spiky domes on top of spires? Because, they have barbed... It's all about location, location, location. The Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, and Indian Ocean to the south isolate the subcontinent, as well as the huge Himalayan range restricting access to the north. This will push gold cat territories to mix together, forcing a positive feedback loop of interaction between coalitions within the closed echo chamber of India. It will also protect these developing cultures from human herds if any have survived the plagues. Again, it's super difficult for cats to even evolve sapience. They just don't need it, so let's just put them in a little sandbox in the middle of India and trap them there through isolationist geography. The Indus and Ganges River will provide water for drinking and irrigation, and the silt they carry will create rich soil for growing gardens. The Indus Valley contains timber for building, as well as gold, silver, and other precious stones that appeal to their love of rare, gaudy tokens. This will be the stage for their newly sprouting cultures. Much like muskrats and beavers, tight-knit family fleets will form along river deltas where they build dams and lodges. Within the aquifers will be floating raft islands, similar to a more natural, accidental version of Tenochtitlan or Angkor Wat. The geography of South Asia in the future makes the region extremely prone to flooding. This was the same for the Netherlands, where the earliest Dutch governing bodies were informal water boards that coordinated flood protection projects. As their population grows and their resources dwindle within the isolated subcontinent, they will have to improve efficiency of hunting and living together. Harems will come alive at night because of the cat's nocturnal lifestyle. Since their ancestors hunted small prey constantly for energy, this will make gold cats prefer small meals or multiple courses for snack time. This means ceremonial lunches, appetizers, and multiple course meals will make up the day of the gold cats with the means to live extravagantly. Sounds like they'll have the same eating schedule as hobbits. Or at least the top cats will. If you're a commander, admiral, or lieutenant, you eat first. The rest of the harem has to wait till they're done. This is based on lion eating habits, too. Let's go on a quick tour of 20 million years in the future India. Instinctually, cats like to climb up trees to get advantage of their surroundings and prey. This may lead to them finding sun-baked rock cliffs a suitable lair for their most prized common spaces and public lounges. The Deccan Plateau now grows wild with cotton put there by humans and can be harvested by the gold cats to make pockets, bags, blankets, and tapestries. Seasonal monsoons provide water for the Deccan Plateau, which is otherwise relatively dry. Plus, the cliffs and canyons perfectly trap and drive prey to ambush sites. The canyons here will become a workshop of mazes, optical illusions, and booby traps. They may actually have a strange version of domestication, trapping animals through hypnosis in labyrinths for generations. The Deccan Plateau is protected on all sides by walls of mountain ranges, but to its east is the Sundarbans swamplands, where the original ancestors of the gold cats called home. These swamps and mangrove forests will become host to a specific culture, one of the most fertile and densely populated harem lands, Plethora. To the northeast, the Karni Mata Temple is a holy temple dedicated to sacred rats. Though the temple will fall apart, who knows how long its foundations continue to harbor these pampered rodents. To the cats, it could be known as Rat Rise, with rodents who act like zombies in the presence of the gold cats that control them. Lonar Crater and Ramgar Crater will fill with fresh water and attract the semi-aquatic cats as they act like pre-built giant ponds used for arenas and water holes. One feature of the Bay of Bengal that will never change is the monsoons. In Sri Lanka, monsoons were so common that the inhabitants there invented wind-powered iron furnaces, and gold cats may learn to do the same after thousands of years of technology. One special ruin from the ancient past remains after being smoothed over millennia. Stone cat's claws reached the sea below a mountain peak, now topped with a burning lighthouse. On the diminished island of Sri Lanka lies a solitary peak known as Lion Rock. This surviving ruin is used by gold cats as a promontory, sunbathing on the fortress high above flooded waters. Gardens and ruin walls harbor medicinal herbs and attract birds to nest within toppled towers. A perfect hatchery and aviary castle, since cats are doing the domesticating now. The epic rock with claws of a giant feline god might be the most holy of healing centers for gold cats and act as their lighthouse and capital. Just like humans' ancient lighthouse of Alexandria. Medicine might actually be a big part of their culture since cats today already know how to heal people with their purrs. Cats can purr at a frequency between 25 to 150 hertz, the same frequency that scientists have found can heal human bones and tissues. It's kind of obvious that calming kitty cat purrs can help you de-stress and even lower blood pressure. They're just that cute, but promoting healing in broken bones and cells is astounding. Could their discovery of this melody medicine lead to cat purr hospitals? They would have healing centers your stoned out yogi dreams of, with choirs of kittens humming to emergency rooms while soloist doctors sing soprano to surgery survivors. These shaman will be highly sought after for their medical melodies, and in technocratic society, they could be the highest VIPs after the best hypnoclaw mages. With so many interesting geological formations in India, it's no surprise that a lot of these locations could become landmarks for future cats. Cat scratchings to mark territories will blend with their hypnotic design patterns to create a written language similar to shorthand. The early Felosapiens might not even get that far since they communicate mostly through sense and could be limited to painting illustrations with deep meanings that will seem to move on their own. The most complex carvings will be shape-shifting murals that change with perspective. these beautiful cave illusions will efficiently get the point across despite lacking phonetics. Because they're fishing cats, or at least semi-aquatic cats in the future that descended from fishing cats, it's likely that they're going to build boats. Maritime travel will lead to canals and ports becoming main sources of trade. But one of their greatest technological achievements may be familiar to us, or at least to ancient Greeks. Cats reach a complicated level of interconnectedness in the future that leads to the culmination of their technology. Unmanned traps and hands-off water nets, travel by water, a deep respect for hunting by claw, and military tactics based on surprise. These traits could lead to a ship claw, similar to the Archimedes claw, a crane equipped with a grappling hook, able to drop and submerge an attacking ship down into the water, then either cause the ship to capsize or suddenly let it go altogether. It will drop onto enemy ships, then swing on to defensive forces and destroy them. Essentially, cats in charge of a giant evil claw machine game. That is terrifying. This will be a great defense if rival clans fight for resources or, more likely, power. However, if peace is ever won between these intelligent felines, these cranes of military will be turned into domestic turntables for easy travel in surrounding cities. Imagine instead of using trains, you had cities with a communal crane elevator in the center of populated areas. Only cats that can prepare for the future will prosper. Organized cities and systems to manage rations, harvests, and hunts will succeed while forest clans fall behind. But one dangerous trend in civilizations is when struck by natural disasters, there's often a rise in religiosity. With an understanding of pattern recognition and the ability to grasp abstract thoughts, gold cats have brains just like us humans and begin to see lightning strikes on towers as signs from the gods or at least seemingly magical sources. Cats may follow storms at first for extra kills. Seabirds and ducks have learned to survive massive storms by taking refuge in safer waters, consequently becoming victims of surplus killings by foxes and otters. But these cat versions of the purge could slowly turn to a clergy of zealots following their storm god. Wind and rain gods may be associated with riches, bounty, luck, fortune, or death. Great, so cats with giant claw machines create death cults. Awesome. These religions are just misunderstandings of the world around them. Gold cats may also find the science behind their toxoplasma symbiosis mystifying and explain the reasons behind their hypnotic power with magic. Admirals would be wizened wizards that lead infected mega rodents back to the cities like ringmasters at a circus. God, that's ironic. The lion becomes the lion tamer. Sorcery and ritual would complicate their hunting strategies, with ceremonies occurring before every hunt. After a kill, they may study their dead, playing with them like cats do today. Animal torture and slowly toying with their prey might turn into grand Olympic games in arenas for these future cats. This belief in the surreal could be intensified by their induced hallucinatory states, aka getting super high. Jaguars in the Amazon actually dig and chew on ayahuasca vine. Not surprisingly, it's the cutest and funniest thing I've ever seen on a nature doc. But in India, betel seeds might be the best bump they can get. Originating in the Southeast Asia and Africa, chewing on betel nuts can give you a high like smoking nicotine. Apparently in ancient times, anyone who could get their hands on it used it, from emperors to farmers. And the same may be said for druggy cats. When people chew betel regularly and didn't clean their teeth, the teeth became stained with the juice. In some South Asian cultures, having blackened teeth was a symbol of high social status, which for cats will include admirals, but mostly commanders. Alright, so horned hypnosis wizard bisexuals with black teeth rule the cat world. Why does that sound like the most metal thing in the world? Don't worry, I checked the betel plant isn't toxic to cats. In the human world, there are tons of plants that are toxic to cats. I've had to memorize them if I want to be a good cat dad. In nature, many plants often have brightly colored thorns, and some plants with toxic chemicals may display vibrant flower colors as a warning signal. This is called aposematic coloring. It's a warning that means no touchy. This means flowers and vegetables we use today could become neon kaleidoscope plants in the future. Other plants that cats are drawn to, like catnip, which is actually a plant, if you didn't know, heck, I didn't know it, could become semi-domesticated or even bred to grow to epic sizes. But let's get back to the cultures. Their geographic isolation and slow technological development may hinder their ability to climb past the indomitable mountains and oceans that isolate their homeland. Will Felis sapiens stay scaredy cats and follow their faith, casting out banished corsairs to survive beyond the Himalayas? Or would a crumbling decay of an isolationist empire spell out the doom for cats forever? Let me know in the comments what you think would happen to a future society of cats. Thanks everyone for watching this, and thanks so much to my paying patrons who helped me get gas, snacks, and coffee. Specifically, Justin Larson, Spam is Good 2020, Frederick Boulay, Kelly Rooney, and Tristan H. If you'd like to support my channel, consider joining one of my Patreon tiers. It will help me be able to make these videos full time. And finally, let me know in the comments what sapient animal you'd like to see me deep dive into next. I'll see you next time.